All right, Joe, I think we're ready for you.
Well, I think I'm gonna kick it off. And for you guys that can't tell from far away, I am a realtor, just trying to survive the market. So I'm looking a little raggedy. You know something about my name? It's upside down, right? Hey, that's how I get business. Somebody taught me back in the day, wear your name tag upside down. That's how you get clients just coming up to you all the time, right? Really? We're doing this? No. It's one of my biggest pet peeves. That's right, Kathy. All right, so real quick, guys. Just like this realtor, I am committed to training. And if all of you guys are committed to training, you go to 3 training classes in a month, sign the QR code. This actually counts as one, so everybody scan, make sure you're checked in. And you get $30 off your office bill for that month. Woo! Can I get an amen? Amen. Woo! Okay, awesome. And then next, we're going to kick it off to Joe for the new agents.
Good morning, Southlake. Come on, you guys. Wake up, wake up. Okay, if you've been here before, you know the drill. If this is your first sales meeting, stand up. First one, stay standing, stay standing.
Don't be shy.
You don't get off that easy. Now come up here with me. I got you. Come on up. Good morning. Hiya. Come on up. All right, so I did, but don't tell anybody. So here's the deal. You're going to introduce yourself. It's the elevator version. So name, how long you've been here at KW Southlake. That's it.
That's it. That's all you want to tell. My name is Cindy Pollock. I've been at Keller Williams Southlake for 2 weeks. Christine Coronado, and I've been here 2 weeks.
Randall Eagle, officially 0 days, so now I'm helping afterwards.
Sarah Smith, and this is day 2.
I'm Rick Carullo, 2 months.
Give them a big round of applause, you guys. Hey, so I got one more. Kim, where you at? Kim Bowles, where you at? Come here, come here, come here, come here.
So you guys know this, so not only do I love it when new people join us, but I really love it when people come home. So if you don't know, this is Kim Bowles. She was with us, top producing agent with us for a long time, one of our coaches, all those things. She went and explored some other opportunities, anyhow, had some new things kind of come up, and basically very committed to living her life. How many times have you done Bold now? A million? 12 or 13 times, yeah. So anyhow, Kim's back, so you'll see her in the office. She's actually obviously right next to Pam Anderson, if you know where Pam's at, in the office, so make sure you stop by, say hey, and she's also part of getting Randall and Cindy and Christine over here, aka Steve, so anyhow.
They were painting her office today. You will see it when you go by.
Yeah, I watched one guy walk by, they were like, that's a bold choice. So anyhow.
I'm bold. I'm Kim and I'm bold.
Yes, exactly. So thank you. Give Kim a shout. Just want to make sure you guys say hey.
Okay, and guys, for another Kim, part of our ALC, amazing lady, she's going to talk about big wins today.
Big wins. Okay, I have my quote for today, our attitude of gratitude. When it comes to life, the critical thing is whether you take things for granted or you take them with gratitude. And I love that one. So, okay, who wants to share this morning a big win you've had since our last meeting? Maybe your first listing. Maybe you had a challenge and you overcame it. We've got one right here. I love it when people raise their hands.
Sorry, I was a teacher. That's what I was supposed to do. So right after I finished boot camp last week, I got my first client. And now I actually have 2 more potential ones on top of that.
I love it. Okay, who else? Don't make me start picking people. All right, who else? Thank you.
Shut up, Randall. This month, I've been in real estate for 4 years. I put 1.6 million under contract. So.
Okay, who else? What about something spooky to share?
Not spooky.
Not
Right
spooky.
there. Go all the way back to the back.
Oh, okay.
Oh, just me.
It's not just you. Say hey.
Hey everybody, how's everybody doing today? I am Dennis Reynolds. It is my pleasure to be here. I'm a new agent. I've been in the office for about 2 months. But I've actually had the opportunity. I did an open house. I got 2 clients from that open house. I also got another client just kind of prospecting. I took them through the process. And I'm just happy about all the small steps. I know everything, the big goal, every big goal takes a lot of small steps. So I'm happy to just talk about the small steps headed towards the big goal. I got a client that I'm going to work with today, working on trying to get them leased in their properties that they're looking at now, and just a lot of big things to come. So thank you.
Hey y'all, mine is gratitude. No spooky stuff here. Joe and I are just very, very grateful for everybody that prayed for him in his big back surgery, and he's good. You see him, if you hug him easy. he came, I told him I'm gonna have to sit on him to make him not work. But anyway, we just wanted to say thank you to the people that sent food and prayed for us, so we really appreciate it. We're good.
Well, and Kim, I got one more to add. Just super thankful for everybody involved in the golf committee. You know, it was looking a little hairy there towards the end, but luckily we are doing fantastic, and we wouldn't be able to do it without each and every one of y'all. So thank you so much.
Thank you, everybody.
All right, has anybody guessed what Dustin is yet? I can't figure it out. I'm thinking like Seth MacFarlane, A Million Days, Diana West. How do we know that? No? All right, well, I wanted to introduce, we've got mortgage update. So Jason, Joe, hey, you're up. I feel like y'all do not dress up at all. I don't know if we should allow y'all to talk today.
This is.
Oh, you gotta do the Thriller dance? Go for it.
I will not do the dance. Mortgage bankers don't do that.
This is unemployed mortgage banker.
Exactly.
I'll show you what it looks like.
How's everybody?
Good.
Yeah. How's the market?
Great.
Right? Here's what I tell you, right? The market's different than it's ever been since I've been in business, but we just kind of have to act like we've been here before, right? Because the media is jacking all your clients up. So I want you to look at the person left or the person right, and we know what you say this to each other. The housing market depends on you. Right? Because what you tell them, what you give them, is going to help them determine whether they can buy or sell. So,
hey, we want to see you guys, not the media, right? Who do you want leading this charge, us or the media? All right, there you go.
Yeah. So let's give you a little information. So they asked us to talk about creative litigation.
Creative financing.
Oh, financing.
Which turns into creative litigation later on.
Creative, yes. Okay, creative financing. So 2-1 buy downs, 3-1, 3-2-1 buy downs. If anybody in here old enough to know what those are, besides me? Okay. So real quick, let me tell you why that's important, and we're going to go through a little quick math with you, and then a couple different products, right? So in every recession this country's ever had, interest rates sometime between 18 and 24 months after the peak of the inflation has declined by 1.8%. This is temporary. This will change again, right? If you look at the last 6 recessions, only 2 have had a negative impact on housing, right? Did you know that? In the 80s? And then in 2007, the only recession that anybody remembers.
Right.
Right?
And actually, one of those was only like down 1%.
It was only 1.6%.
So it wasn't a big deal.
It wasn't a big deal, right? The rest of those recessions, actually housing was up on average of over 6%.
Correct.
Correct? So why is a 2-1 buy down important? Because this is temporary, right? So a 2-1 buy down works kind of like this. You have a fixed rate of like, let's call it, what's today's rate?
Let's make it 9.
Make 9%.
7.5.
Let's say 7.5%, right?
Let's not scare them too much.
So if your sellers, if you ask your sellers, or if you decide to reduce the price, instead of reducing the price, you advertise a 2-1 buy down or a 3-2-1 buy down. What they do is they take the fixed rate of whatever the base rate is at 7.5.
It's called 7.5.
7.5. They reduce it the first year by 3%. So your client makes a 3% interest rate difference. Then it's 2, then it's 1, right? So on a $475,000 house. If you bought it a year ago, you'd have paid $475, right? Today,
Wait, don't steal my thunder, come on.
Right.
Stick with your story. I'll
okay,
stick with
well,
mine.
I'm through with my story.
Oh, you're already done?
I'm done.
Well, wait a minute, what's the last key about, big key about the 3-2-1 buy down? Or a 2-1 buy down, so you can do a 3-2-1, a 2-1, or a 1, right?
That's correct.
And the seller has to pay for it?
So that's paid for it.
Right, what's it cost? to do
By the
something
way,
like that?
it costs nothing. It costs nothing for the buyer.
Okay.
Instead of reducing the price by whatever you reduce it by,
Yeah.
the seller would put whatever that aggregate amount is, the difference between those payments, in the escrow account. Every time your buyer makes a payment, it pulls from the escrow account and makes the lender whole, right? Based on the 7.5% rate.
Right.
So it's an incentive to buy. And by the way, if it's written in special provisions for the seller to pay for a 2-1, 3-2-1 buy down, whatever that is, it doesn't hit your seller concession number. So if it's a conventional loan, you've got 3%, 6%, 9% depending on loan to value. It doesn't even come to play with that number.
Absolutely, and
Right.
it costs like 2 1/4 on a 2-1 buy down, about 3 3/8, 3.5 on a 3-2-1 buy down.
Correct. Yeah.
So that's still cheaper than a price reduction, right? Because if it's a $500,000 home and it costs you 3.5 points, that's roughly 16.5, 17 grand.
About 18,000.
You were gonna drop the price more than 17, 18 grand, right? So it's cheaper for the seller and better for the buyer.
It's correct. Yeah.
Okay, so hey, first of all, I'm stupid excited you're back, because you and I haven't been up here together in a very long time. So it's been forever, so.
We've been friends a long time.
That's right. So hey, let's take what Joe just said, let's turn that into real numbers for you guys for just a minute. So I've got a scenario for you. So if you bought a home, let's say you wanted to buy a home that was listed, I don't know, 4 months ago for $425 here in the Metroplex. What would that home have sold for by the time you got finished all your multiple offers and going over list price? $475? I like your numbers. That's exactly what I came up with. So let's go $475 for a minute, and you put down 20%, but you got a 3.5% interest rate. Your monthly payment was $3 grand, all in, taxes, insurance, the whole ball of wax, right? All right, so now let's fast forward today. That same home that was listed for 4 1/4 4 months ago, what's it listed for today? Y'all are making my job so
On
easy.
point.
It's literally on point with all the numbers we had. All right, so it's listed for 4. You get it for 4 because there's no buyers out there, and you're paying a 7.5% interest rate. How much does your payment go up to? $3,300. So $300 a month. Okay. Well, first of all, that's not terrible. I mean, that is, let's say you had to pay that for 2 years before you could refinance. You're paying $3,600 a year, so $7,200 over that period of time, right? So you really paid $407 for the house, but you could have paid $475. So which one's better already? All right, option 2, I'll take it. Now here's where it gets really interesting. So when you refi that loan 2 years from now into a 4.5 interest rate, let's not get crazy, let's just go 4.5.
Or 5.
Or 5. Payment's $2,700. Well, wait a minute, we just saved $300 over what we would have paid 4 months ago, right? And let's make it really sexy. Let's use a 2-1 buy down for Joe.
Yep.
Your payment today is $2,900 instead of $3,300. You get that for the first year, you get $3,100 for the next year, and then you refi down to $2,700. You came out way ahead, right?
And by the way, if you haven't used all that escrow account up, let's say there's 18,000 escrow account, and year 1 rates drop, that money that's left in escrow account, that's the borrower's money. So when they refinance, they take that off the payoff of the house. They get benefit to it. Really cool.
So the end story on this, guys, is number one, we want to drive this conversation, right? Because the news didn't talk about $2,900 and $2,700 and all that. They didn't have that conversation. They said it's up $300 a month, right?
Right.
Actually, they said you were probably still going to pay $475 because they don't really know what they're talking about. So they thought it was up $600 a month. But if we drive that conversation, we have a very different conversation with our client. And the point of that is you can always refinance that rate, but you can't refinance your sales price. So let's lock in the lower sales price, and we'll worry about the rate 2 years from now. Let's do something like Joe said, a 2-1 buy down to save it for today.
And just so we're clear, right? Rents are going up 27.5% year over year from 2021 to 2022, and they're expected to go up 17.5% this year. The hedge against inflation is locking down your fixed cost. Housing. It's if you wait for your home to appreciate another, because it's the expectation survey says the housing market is going to appreciate across the nation at 5% over the next 4 years. All of a sudden, your borrower's waiting 2 years to buy a house until rates get down to 5, but he's paying 10% more for the house.
Yeah.
Makes sense?
Yes,
ma'am.
product. Let's go. Go ahead.
Yeah, sorry. So if,
from a buyer standpoint, if I'm able to negotiate seller's concession for my client to have a lower rate, why would we do a temporary 2-1 buy down versus a permanent?
That's a great question, right?
Oh, yeah.
So let's say that today the rate's 7.5%, but to buy the thing down to 6 is costing them $20,000.
Oh, yeah.
And that's about what it would cost, okay? If they don't get full benefit, let's see rates go down in 24 months to 5%, and then they refinance, they've wasted the majority of that $20,000 they took to buy down the house the very first time. It's a really great question, by the way.
And by the way, you still only saved 1.5%
You saved 1.5%.
for that first year, right? And then, but if you did the 2-1 buy down, Joe, you probably spend half that.
Half that.
10 or 12.
Well, first
grand.
off, they didn't spend it, the seller did.
That's right. And it's in an escrow account for them, and they got a 2% benefit the first year.
So the 2-1 buy down is less expensive than the permanent buy down based on the rate sheet?
To get an equal value.
To get an equal value.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
So cheaper, more benefit.
And the seller's paying for
And
it,
the seller's
not the
paying for it.
buyer.
Well, the buyer could negotiate that and just not
Correct.
mention
Could.
it to the
They
seller
could.
what it's going toward.
Correct.
I think there's money to be left on the table when they're refinancing within 24 months.
Yeah, because at 20 grand, you're gonna need probably
We're gonna
6
need
or 7 years.
Probably to make that break even. You guys know Pam? You guys know Trent, right? Trent?
To be fair, there's brains in this operation, by the way, so you and I are gonna be
I told Dustin I was gonna do a river dance out here as they were speaking, but I just wanna let you guys know, first-time homebuyers still have products out there. We have a DPA program right now, down payment assistance, that helps with their down payment. Rate 6.25 today, way below market. Now there's income limits, they have to be a first-time homebuyer, they do have to repay that amount, but it's either pay now or pay later. So we still have great products out there that we can help people with. So if you're stuck, you have self-employed people that are writing everything on their tax returns, we have bank statement loans, we all do. So we have creative financing out there that can still help people today, even in our market.
Absolutely.
What you got, Trent?
Yeah, and I wanted to touch on using assets to qualify, to income qualify to help with, as rates have gone up, affordability's decreased a little bit, and we can use a buyer's assets to help them qualify. We can use their total assets and divide that by the term of their loan to help them get them over the hump to possibly qualify. So there's plenty of different ways to be creative with financing, and using assets as income can also help in that regard.
And just so you're clear, if you're over 62 years old, you've got a client that's over 62 years old, you know that 33% of all the houses are free and clear, and more than 27% of houses in your neighborhood have more than 75% equity in them. If you're 62 years old or older, then maybe you should think about not making a principal and interest payment every year, right? Somebody who's paying cash, maybe a heck of them for purchase is a really great program. It's really cool.
Yep, absolutely. All right, we're getting the hook, so we gotta get out of here. Thank you guys, we appreciate it.
Okay, guys, now, we know she has the need for speed, but I bet she's got the need for culture. Here's Emily.
Hey everyone! My name is Emily Courtright. I'm your culture committee leader, and I am so excited about the fall season. One, because we've got the golf tournament that I'm going to talk about. We've got Thanksgiving luncheon coming up. So let's dive in. First, the golf tournament. It is our charity golf tournament. It is our #1 biggest fundraiser of the year, and it is happening this Monday. We are like T-minus 5 days away from this charity golf tournament. It's being held at Bear Creek Golf Club, and we have already 216 golfers. We have 21 sponsors. We're doing really good. We can take some more golfers. Sponsors, we're probably on the brink of being able to shut that off. But what we do need, so we do have some needs. And who was here last month? Because we had a great turnout last month, and a lot of you filled out the blue sheet and you committed, and we had such a great turnout. Thank you, thank you, thank you to everybody who committed and followed through with their commitments from last month. Today, my biggest need is donated prizes. And a huge shout out to Russ Kidwell and Ed Aston, who just came to me this morning with 3 more prizes. Our silent auction anything that gets donated that we can put out at the silent auction is 100% profits for us because we haven't spent any money on that. Everything that the players donate to win that silent auction item is 100% profit and directly goes to building more bicycles. So if you can get us a gift card, a gift basket, anything like that, or certificate for a future event. Ed's band just donated a 2-hour session for a live jazz band to play with 5 people. So anything like that is so appreciated, and again, it goes 100% to our bottom line. The other thing that we need is goodie bag items. And I know it's a little bit short notice, but I need these by Friday at 2 p.m., especially if you've talked to somebody so far and they're like, yeah, I can bring chapsticks or teas or pens or little things of tissues. We need those by Friday at 2 p.m. at the office. That's when we're doing our goodie bag assembly, and we're going to be putting together 250 goodie bags. So I need all of those by Friday at 2 p.m. So donated gift baskets, gift cards, gift certificates, certificates for future items, or goodie bag items are our biggest needs. You can still donate a bicycle for $100. You can still do a monetary donation. All of that's available on the website. We would love to get a few more golfers. We do have spots open, and the website is right here, 1kw.golfreg.com. So let's give a big shout out to all of the people who have donated first responder spots. We have had a record-breaking 18 first responder spots donated. That is huge. That is the most we have ever had. So I have a lot of very excited police officers and firefighters that are lined up for Monday. So thank you everybody on this list who donated police and firefighter spots. Also, thank you to our sponsors. We're going to give them big shout outs at the golf tournament, but we couldn't do this, and we couldn't do this tournament without our sponsors. So let's talk about Thanksgiving luncheon. We've got that coming up on November 9th. And as soon as the golf tournament's over, I'm going to focus on the Thanksgiving luncheon. So you'll see the sign-ups come out probably late next week. We'll need everything from turkeys, desserts, vegetables, fruits, all of that stuff. So be on the lookout. We're also going to need volunteers to help set up, tear down, and serve. So be on the lookout for Thanksgiving luncheon. That's at the Colleyville Center. Unfortunately, we did have to postpone our chili cook-off. We are gonna do this event in January, but be on the lookout for the new date for the chili cook-off bingo and poker tournament. So if this sounds all cool to you, like this is a lot of fun stuff, please come and join our culture committee. Our next meeting is Monday, November 7th from 1 to 2 p.m. on Zoom. So we invite everybody. All agents are welcome. And come and join us and plan some of these events. So thank you very much. I hope everybody has a great fall, and I hope to see a lot of you at the golf tournament on Monday. Thank you.
Isn't Emily just amazing? I don't know how she keeps all of that together. It's just crazy. So she needs some help, guys. So feel free, join the culture committee. Want to talk a little bit about marking your calendar. We've got some exciting events coming up. Tomorrow, First Step to Bold. I've been here for 13 years, I've never taken bowl. So I will be at First Step tomorrow, so if you want to join me, y'all can still come. It is tomorrow from 9 to 2:30. It's in Carrollton. And then Friday at the South Lake office, we do have the business planning clinic. Now this is sold out, but if you do have tickets, make sure to go for that. Next, please. Tuesday, October 18th, we are having a mortgage update. So if y'all liked what you heard today, a lot more deep dive on creative financing, what the mortgage rates are doing, feel free, please come to that class, 12 to 1. And then Tuesday, October 25th, we are going to have 4 laws of lead generation. Who wants some more leads right now? Yay! Come to this class. Please RSVP for that. You can email southlakemca@gmail.com. And then I wanted to show you guys, some of y'all that have been coming to classes, you've heard already about this. If you ever want to sign up for events, you want to know, anything in the office, how to connect to printers, I've created this one-stop shop for you guys. If there's anything you ever want me to add, just let me know. It's super easy. But feel free to scan that, and you'll have all the information, and you can sign up for classes straight from there. Cool. And this is what it looks like. So goal, First Step, we had the business planning clinic, the golf tournament website directly on there, some branding if you wanted logos for our office. Again, all that information is there for you guys. Cool? Woo! Okay, awesome. Now, if we could have Mr. Elon Musk.
I love the dancing.
Okay, we're gonna go through some awards. So yeah, y'all see it? I got it. We were at, my wife will tell you, we were at dinner one time, and we're at some Christmas party or whatever. We're sitting at the table with this couple, and I get up to go get drinks or something, and while I was gone, the guy leans over and goes, "Hey, is that Elon Musk?" And I hate it because my wife has to be honest all the time. I'm like, God, why can't you just have some fun with that, you know? But no, she had to be all honest and be like, no, that's not Elon Musk. And then I thought that was really weird, and I never thought about it, and I started Googling pictures of Elon Musk, and I was like, oh, crap. Dang. Now, not skinny Elon Musk, fluffy Elon Musk, okay? You know, fluffy Elon Musk, okay, I can see it, right? So, anyhow. Okay, so we're gonna do October awards. Sorry you don't have Robbie today, he couldn't be here. So you're stuck with me. So we're gonna run through these. I'm not gonna stand up here like Robbie does, okay? All right, top 50 associates based on GCI. If your name is on this list, would you stand up and take a bow, right? Yeah, give a hand. Come on, you guys get up there one time. You gotta take your bows when you go, right? Okay. All right, now, highest GCI for team member award. We rank this on GCI. Minimum of 25% is paid back to their team to qualify for this award. Our top 5 are Bob Buzan, Ricardo Valderrama, Robert DeFranceschi, John Thornby, Dr. Strange himself, and Brian Luker. All right. Our awards for individuals, 1 agent, team is 2 licenses, group is 3 or more. Let's roll. Congratulations to our groups. Number 5, Mira Group at $2 million, Data Pollard Group at 2.17, Preferred Closing Specialist at 2.3, Pantuso Properties at 2.7, and Hirschenberg Group coming in at number 1 at just over $4 million. Listing volume for team, Kim Miller Group at 1.4, Bilberry Home and Ranch 1.6, Elsa at 1.9, Reynolds Group at 2.6. Wow, Reynolds Group, look at that. Team Hodden at 4.7. Man, Sharon Hodden went back to work, y'all. Listing volume awards for individual agents, Paul Allen 2.3, Richard Noon 2. Man, look at that. Kim Weiser edges out Richard Noon by $50. Look at that. Kim Weiser 2.5, Rashay Murphy 2.6. Hello. Beverly Beasley coming in strong, just edged you out by like $6 grand, Rashay. All right, clothesline awards for groups. Mid-tier team coming in number 5 at 4.1. Dana Pollard Group at 4.9. Pantuso Properties 5.3. Hirschenberg Group at 7.2. And Charlie Brown Group, daggone, $9.7 million. Close volume for teams, Polish Group 2.8. Darren Davis, a little over $3 million. Neighborhood Group, sister, Kay, Kirsten. Neighborhood Group, $3.8 million. There we go. Sorry, I was waiting for that scream. I didn't come. She just wasn't paying attention. Kevin Rhodes Group, 3.95. And the legend team, Leslie Akers, $4.5 million in Cleveland Harmony. Lonnie Hendricks coming in at number 5 at 2.5. Agnes Tucker, 2.65. Jennifer Bernal, $2.651, $1,000, edging out Agnes. Erica Berkemile at 2.7, and then Desiree Milligan, $3.2 million. All right, close awards for units. Preferred Closing Specialist coming in at 12 units, Hirschman Group at 15, and Shirley Brown, 20 closings in a month, you guys. Dang. Closed units for teams. We got a 4-way tie between Darren Davis, Dries, LeBlanca, and Holly. And Team Hodgett, we got Team Honda, Kevin Rhodes coming in second place. And the neighborhood group, number 10, that's you. Just in case you forgot, okay, that's you. Good. All right, closed units for awards for individuals. That's a, let's just call it a dozen-way tie. At 3 units for Aaron Arnold, Laura, Sheila, Cindy, Diana, Ray, Maria, Beverly, Dana, Saranda, Colin, and Chaz. Congrats. Second place, Lonnie Hendricks, Jeff Hollingsworth, Desiree Milligan, Carol Spratt, and Mina Wala. Number 4. And in number 1 spot, three-way tie between Erica Mercantile, Cindy Giles, and Julie Wells, coming in 5 units. All right, this is the $1 Million Award. If you closed over $1 million for the month of September, your name's on this list, stand up and take them out. There we go. Big baller, Jack Power. All right, Home Run Awards. This is a listing, a written unit, and a closing all in the month of September. If your name's on this list, take a stand and a bow. Okay. Grand Slam Awards. This is basically all of what we just said, plus they recruited somebody, Charlie Brown, Julie Wells, Mintier Team, and Mira Group. Congratulations. And taking care of business, this is straight up recruiting, adding to our group in our office in the month. Naomi Jones, Stacy Powell, Luciana, Pierre, Luis, I think I got that right. Hector Rivera, Oscar Palmandara, Tracy Campbell, Kate Barnes, Julie Wells, Lori Mira, Charlie Brown, Diana Cabello.
Woo! Wow. That is awesome, guys.
I think I said all the names right, too. Awesome. All right, and our Profit Share Awards is, sorry, I'm really distracted by Rihanna Disturbia playing in the background. I don't know why. So, yeah, it just cracks me up. All right, number 10, Robert Bentuso, Robert Brumley, Chastity Rosales, Jim Briggs, Earl Milbury, Fran Hoover, Janine Kleinhammer, and our top 3, Johnny Williams, Beverly Wells, and Chris Mintier. Mailbox money, I'll give you a plug. If you're not getting your fair share of mailbox money, you wish you did, because I had to go we're doing college applications and all that for Sophie right now. Thank God I got some profit share coming in, man, because college is expensive. Crap. Yeah, and it doesn't help being me, by the way. So I have no help to my kid getting any sort of benefits in college. So, anyhow. So good news, there's profit share coming our way. All right, I think that is it for awards. I do believe. Where's my? I said because I'm looking for Jameson, but I don't think Jameson's here. Where's all my sons got? Come on down, man. Come on. Okay. This is LV. Yeah. All right. Come on down, man. Our generous lunch sponsor today. Get up for LV.
How y'all doing? Glad to be with you all today. As you just said, I'm standing in for Jameson Olson, which many of you know is our Director of Business Development. She is in Colorado offices today. She sends her regards and some lunch as well. But I'm not going to hold you long. Just want to let you all know that we continue to be here to serve any of your personal needs and your clients' needs. Been in business 37 years, 73 locations nationwide. So had a good bit of growth. I've been in a project manager position with them for 16 years. So I've had a front row seat to that growth. And I can confidently say that, which many of you I know will agree, that it's not about the lead, it's not about the referral, it's about the relationship. So I can guarantee that is the way that we'll go forth in servicing you and your clients. How it specifically works is just you have my card, you have my direct, reach out to Jameson. I'm her field arm, so I actually go out and meet with your client, whether it be in a residence, in an office. I present a detailed moving proposal, and if they do decide to go forward, I manage to move from top to bottom. So as many of you know, sometimes things don't go 100% all the time. We can never guarantee that, but we can guarantee that the buck stops with me, and we're gonna be here for you guys every step of the way. So again, not gonna hold you long. Y'all have my numbers. Continue to reach out, and go Keller Williams.
All right, it's that time.
It's me. It's
Okay,
my turn.
you bringing Noah with you?
It's my team member. It's my team member.
Okay, giving it up.
Okay, if you dressed up, stand up. Can I just go ahead and go? Am I free to go?
Yeah, you're free.
Take your time. Go for it.
Oh, I will. Oh, okay, so y'all, if you've done this with me before, usually I do the Christmas one, right? Don't we do like the Christmas in July? Okay, so if you dressed up, oh, come on, Indy girl. If you dressed up, follow me. Down over here. Let's go. I'm a cowgirl today. In case you're wondering, this is baby Noah. I don't even know who you are. Are you Barry? I can't even tell who this is. I don't know. Okay, get in the line. If I can't tell, man, like, oh, you're a faculty member. That's why I can't be a judge. I'm gonna be like Oprah. You win, you win, you win, man. Wait, who has the camera? Can someone get a picture of everyone lined up real fast? Okay, Rachel's got it. Man. Do something fun. Okay, we need a good upbeat rhythm for them to walk the catwalk. What is that? We need a catwalk song. Put on Thriller. I mean, it's the ultimate. It's Michael Jackson. Who doesn't love MJ? I do. By the way, MJ is not Michael Jordan. It's Michael Jackson in our household. Okay. All right. So, oh, there we go. Thank you. So this is what you're gonna do. We're gonna start from this side. This side to my left. And you're gonna go one by one up the catwalk, and then around the middle of the catwalk, around Kim. If you don't know Kim, wave hi Kim. She's in the pink shirt. I need you to strike your pose in the middle of the catwalk. Okay? And then you're gonna go up to the screen. You're gonna be judged on two things: not only your appearance and what you've dressed up as, but your pose in the middle of the catwalk. Okay? I'm not gonna go crazy how I usually do because I'm holding a baby. But you're gonna walk up. Follow instruction. Pose. Got it? Turn. And go. And then you're going to line up this way. Cool? Everyone got the instruction? No one's had Baileys in their coffee yet, right? Okay. Start to my left. Let's hit it. Now, crowd, I need y'all to participate and cheer them on. Realtor for 2025. I think so. Oh yeah, I like it. Really? Oh yeah. Coffee. Beautiful, Nick. Oh, peace and love, y'all. Peace and love. Come on, cowgirl. I like it. Judges? Who's the judge? Rachel, you're a judge. She isn't the wicked witch, she's the sweet witch of the north. Okay, you're a judge. Come on, guys. You're a judge. Now is the time to use an ordeal. It's approved. I had to. Okay, so now remember judges. They were judged on two things. I hope y'all are all paying attention. They were judged on their costume and their pose. So usually, well, do you think we should just let y'all pick your favorite?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right, so Pam, no pressure. You're gonna have to go first and pick who was your favorite costume and pose striker. Okay. The reason why I picked this guy is he's actually wearing clothes today.
This is a difficult one. I really liked our tourist guy right here with his camera.
I'm gonna go with somebody who overcame an obstacle with their costume today and really showed out with a gallop.
So I'm going with the Viking dude because I don't think anyone in this room, we don't know who he is. So good choice.
All right, Jason. The very last one. Maybe you think we should work for it?
Yeah, I think somebody needs to work for it.
Okay.
The Viking was mine because I'm Norwegian, so I was going the Viking all the way. So she stole my thunder, so let's work for it. Let's see who wants it the most. We're good. I'm really easy, you know?
I just want to drop a real estate nugget. Did you see how she went and got it? She asked for it. She asked for it. So ask for the business. I told her to do it. There you go. I hope the market centers. It's important to have a coach. To have a coach and go ask for the business. Woo!
Someone's got to film.
Give it up for K-Lo!
Can I take your camera and do it real quick? I don't think I could. I don't think I could.
Well, hey, so we brought in a guest speaker for you today because I don't know about y'all, I'm tired of talking. I think y'all tired of hearing talk. So I asked Kevin Taylor to come and talk to us. Hey, can you kill that music? Thanks. And he's okay. That's all I gotta say. He asked us the question, "Are you okay?" so many times, like somebody answered Michael Jackson already. And he's okay. All right? She's okay. All right. So, anyway, I asked Kevin to come and talk to you guys today because a couple things. Number one is, at some point you become white noise. But how many of you have been on the Monday Zoom call at 1:30? It's the market update call. And so, see, some of you have some great, so you kind of know what to expect. But because there were a lot of hands that didn't go up, that's why I wanted you to hear directly from Kevin live and the human person, so the virtual version of himself maybe is more appealing. I don't know. Could be. It could only backfire as well. So, but if you don't know, Kevin Cannon's been with KW for a long time. He is the behind the scenes, basically not the face, but the brains of the Christy Cannon team. The Christy Cannon team is the #1 team in our region. They're based out of Frisco. They're expanding. By the way, you'll be seeing them opening up. Their expansion office before too long. It's going to happen in the North Richmond Hills area. They're already working on that. They've got some agents expanding that area, so it'll be kind of in our area. You'll see them around. But anyhow, I asked them to come and talk to us. Their team did 650 units last year. 651. So just a couple transactions. And their average sale price, GCI, all that, like they follow the model kind of to the T in terms of what it is. And so Kevin is basically, I like to nerd out and follow the market, and he's got nerd points times 12 on me. And so in terms of seeing the market, where it's moving, what's happening, Kevin just understands and sees things really well, and then he does a good job of actually explaining it really well, so that way us normal folk can understand what the heck's going on. And so I asked him to come and just kind of walk us through some basic slides, what's going on we kind of expect to see, because we've got a lot of movement. And here's the whole thing, guys. Like, the whole idea is that when we talk about the shift seems like it's a thing. I'd almost rather say it's just shifting. Just an ing to that thought, because honestly, I don't know what it's going to look like next month. I don't know what it's going to look like the month after next, and we're going to continue to make adjustments, okay? But ultimately, what does a balance look like? I mean, imagine when you're trying to achieve balance in your life, it's like trying to balance a broom handle on your hand. You're making a bunch of small corrections constantly. And I just want to prepare you, be prepared. That's probably what we're going to be doing for a while. We're going to be making constant corrections, and nothing's going to just land and be the same way. So that's why it's very, very important that we keep our minds sharp and we're aware of what's happening in the market, because we have to make constant corrections. So anyhow, I'll remind you again at the end of this, but I'd like you to keep checking your calendars and make sure you're on those Zoom calls on Mondays at 1:30, because we have to constantly make course corrections right now. Fair? All right, give it up for Kevin Cannon.
I don't know if I need this. Hey, I appreciate y'all being here. I do hope that you'll join us on those Monday 1:30s. If you have, I hope that they're valuable for you. We do solicit feedback. To give you an idea, it's generally myself and Tommy Flood, and for the last 2 weeks we've had Dave Eckert. Does anybody know who that is? So I was the president of Keller Mortgage. So just a guy who might know a little something about the industry. So we've been fortunate and have brought him on to start talking, because interest rates are going to be the dominant conversation for at least the next 12 months, right? And so when we talk about, well, what's the big difference? Like, what's the big deal? The cost to borrow money as a buyer has literally doubled since the beginning of this year, right? And we were already in an environment where affordability was at its worst in modern history, right? And there's simply no end in sight. So when we talk about, well, let me go show hands. Who was selling real estate in 08? Right? Now, who had a job in 2008? Yeah, so keep your hands up if you had a job in 08. I don't care what industry you're in. Is there anybody who in 2008 at some point didn't question whether you were going to still have a job in 08? Anyone who didn't question that? Yeah, not a whole lot of hands. Most people have that. We still carry, as a country, as a labor force, we still carry a lot of trauma from 2008, 2009, 2010. Your buyers and sellers carry a lot of trauma from 2008, 2009, 2010, regardless of what the market did. Right? Because the market had broader effects. It wasn't just about real estate. Now the good news is, we look completely different walking into this. We have less than 2% of properties have negative equity, right? We saw 4% or lower, right, as far as non-qualifying mortgages that were on adjustable rates. Greater than 85% of all homeowners currently have interest rates lower than the prevailing rate as of 2 months ago. Personal balance sheets are in a better position. Wages are the highest that they've been. People have more equity than ever before. Greater than 40% of all properties are cash outright owned. No mortgage on them. Right? Go run your stats for the last 30 days for the number of properties available, and then I want you to go back and look how many homes were for sale in 2007, 2008. We here in DFW are in our 18th week. I don't know what this week will look like. We're in our 18th week of double-digit negative numbers of new listings coming on the market. Does that make sense? The number of listings coming on is down. And yet last month we had over 9,400 homes sold. What's your inventory? Like our 4 big counties right now, if we go Dallas, Denton, Tarrant, Collin, do you know what our month supply inventory is? Less than 3 months, about 2.4 months. Right? Does that sound anything like 08? Yeah, it's not to say there aren't a risk. What we're going to talk a little bit why the interest rate's driving it. What was the interest rate in 2008? Sure as hell wasn't 7%. Yeah, it was in the 5s. It's going to look different this time, for the good or the bad. Now remember, the book is called Shift. It's not called, oh dear God, the sky is falling. Or hooray, I gotta go $100,000 over asking the other way, right? The book's called Shift because arguably, for most of us, we're getting back to real estate, for those of you who've been in the business for 3 or more years, as we know it. Who here ever sent a postcard out that said, sold in 90 days, and I can sell yours too, I'm the greatest agent that's ever lived? Sounds ridiculous today, doesn't it? Didn't sound ridiculous in 2017, did it? Right? Especially if you have a higher end property. So the turmoil comes for 2 factors. One, the behaviors are now changing. They have to change after the last 2.5 years. For the last 2.5 years, put a house on the market, 2 cell phone photos, don't even have it up. It's already got 4 offers, right? And that's what all of your sellers have watched. That's what happened to the brother. That's what happened to their neighbors. And in fact, when you ran comps for them last December, that's what you told them was going to happen. And then they called you back in July. That's why the book's called Shift. It is that period that gets so difficult. We're not done with that. Right? We're not done with that. And that's part of what we're going to share. So what I'm going to share with you are some slides out of KWRI's research department. If you were on the call Monday, we went over these very quickly. And then we'll go over some actual market stats. But I want to take you through this because we have to understand this to have those conversations with our clients. Right? Because I'll ask it this way. Let's say we stay at this rate, right? We just came into this week at 7.14% as of, well, yesterday. What do you think is going to happen if we sit at 7.25% through Q1 of next year? And then the economy finally starts to really slow down. And the Fed starts leveraging the interest rate, right? If you've been on my call, we talk about all the time, the number 1 tool the Fed has to offer the economy is their interest rate. So they decide they want to re-spur the economy because it's slowed down enough, and they start backing off, and mortgages drop to 5.5%. What do you think will happen next summer?
Bloodbath.
What's that?
A bloodbath.
Bloodbath. You know, one of the big differences between the bloodbath before and the bloodbath today, our inventory is not much better, is it? Builders are burning through their inventory as quickly as they can drop the price and offer the seller a rate buy down and you a $5,000 bonus. Is that true? Why are they doing that? It's not because they're magnanimous. It's not because they're gracious. It's because they got to move inventory, especially for publicly traded. Go pull the permits and starts for your favorite city. Because there aren't very many. Even with lumber prices, right? We just saw this, lumber prices are back to pre-pandemic levels, and yet the builders, in theory, should go, yay, now's my chance. They're not doing it, are they? They don't want to be carrying it on the books. So part of what we're talking about is so that we can have intelligent conversations about what we predict in the market. Because I don't know about you, but I want you to clear your mind of a client. If your sibling, your child, your best family friend says, I'm coming to Dallas, I'm going to be in the home for the next 5 to 7 years. Should I wait till next summer when rates drop? Or next year when rates drop? Or do you think I should go ahead and buy now? Because I don't know about you, I would much rather be refining a year from now to 5.5 than joining the horde chasing the market at 5.5. Right?
You can't refi the price.
You can't.
You can refi the rate, you can't refi the price.
Well, and I understand, yes, in theory, price is more significant than rate in theory, but not in practical. How many people, I mean, think about it. Most buyers buy based upon their cost, not their overall price. So that's where people get sensitive because it's what hits you every month. So we're going to talk a little bit about some of those factors. So here's the bad good news or the good bad news, however you want to word it. We just got the unemployment numbers that just come back last week. Now we've got big numbers coming out over the next 10 days. And so on the month, we're at 3.85. Unemployment actually got better, which as far as interest rates goes, unemployment got worse. Unemployment actually improved. It is massively historically low for 2022. We're at 3.85. Yeah. So I'm going to ask it this way. Has anybody in the room canceled a vacation yet because of the economy? Has anybody in the room quit going out to eat because of the economy yet? Has anybody in the room not bought that car?
Can't find the car.
Well, that's true. That's a different issue. So understand, until we start seeing hands go up to answer the question, and not because I'm doing it in preparation, but until it has literally hit us. As I say, go to the restaurant, look around. How's the economy doing? Go to the mall, look around. How's the economy doing?
With the worst service too.
What's
With
that?
the worst service in the restaurants, and they're still packed.
Well, you know why that is? 3.85% unemployment. They can't hire any better than anybody else can. Until that gets affected. Now, the CPI tells us, right, if we look forward, those numbers have gotten worse and worse and worse. As we look forward, consumers go, I'm worried about this. I'm paying too much. I shouldn't pay this much. And yet they're still doing it. Eventually they won't be. And when that happens, that's when we'll start to see the Fed slow down. So unemployment has to get significantly worse. There's August 2022. September's numbers came out and they were 3.85. They got slightly worse, then got slightly better. So unemployment is going to have to worsen before the Fed will let up on the interest rate pressure. GDP. That's our projected for the year. 0.2%. Not great. GDP is one of the primary indicators of a recession, right? And if you look at the GDP numbers over the last 2 quarters, not good, right? And yet, it hasn't shown up typically in our local economies. And again, until it does, until we affect consumer spending habits, you're going to continue to see the pressure. That's the GDP quarterly. You can see the last 2 quarters. Now, I know this isn't always the most fun stuff, but this is the framework that we have to have in order to walk forward. So CPI versus core CPI, right? That's the Consumer Price Index. Where they want it versus where it is. The Fed wants inflation to be hovering around 2%, right? We're so far off. But what ends up happening is, as long as the CPI continues to rise, we're going to see inflation continue to rise. Has anybody done a trip overseas or have a trip overseas planned to Europe?
Yeah, I want to.
Right? How's the dollar doing against the euro? It is wonderful. When was the last time you said that? The last time I could say going to Europe was wonderful financially was like the 1990s. When I used to go to the military, I was like, this is great. I could buy a car with a pair of jeans. Yeah, that ended real quick. Okay, so it's like $1 to $1.03 euro. I was there at the Christmas time last year. It was $1 to $1.20 and change. Right? We've got to see some of that. Those numbers have to get worse. I know it's a terrible thing to say. I'm not saying we want it to, but the economy's got to get worse before things get better. Core CPI is when we take out things like food, energy, and housing. So CPI continues to rise. I mean, it's to the point where it's arguably out of control. So what happens? They put pressure on the economy, they raise the interest rates. The interest rate is generally, the base of that rate is how institutions borrow money from each other, right? And then that's how their willingness is to lend the money to all of us as consumer credit. You know how I get people to stop putting stuff on their credit card and spend less money? Make their credit card interest rate 24%. You know how I get people to buy fewer cars? You make their interest rate 16%. You know how you get people to buy fewer houses and put pressure on the housing market? Make the interest rate 7.25%. Right? That will force the economy to slow down. So, we're already seeing a revision. This is 5.1 million sales is what was projected for 2022 that was revised earlier. Even since then, that's been revised down to 4.8 million. Now, I'll share in a minute on some stats from my phone that I wrote down beforehand, where that sounds absolutely terrible, but at the 4.8, if you go backwards, look at 08, 09, 2010, 2011, 2012, 2014, we're not that terrible. What we have to get in the habit of looking at is, in the same way, in 2007, 2008, 2009, you looked back at 05 and 06 and said those were anomalies. I think it's pretty easy to look at 2021 and call it an anomaly. It's what it was. It's like saying Dustin is really slow at running track, but we're comparing him to Usain Bolt.
But he is really slow.
You said it, Katie, not I. So, but I do want to take a look. I find this pretty interesting too. The 5-year period between 2018 and 2022, it'll end up at the 5.1 million. It's 27 million in sales, and we think it's the greatest time in real estate that ever happened. If you look at the same 5-year period going back into the 2008 market, it doesn't look the same. Now, what's pretty interesting is if you watch how quickly it starts to recover within that 2-3 year period. And remember, the interest rate environment then, we'll show you what that looked like. It was significantly lower than it stands, at least for today. So home sales monthly, we continue to see a balancing of the home sales and the total home sales. There's no indication that's going to stop. At 7.25, 7.14. Talk to your loan officers and ask them how much their new loan applications are down. Refis are largely dead. HELOCs and home equity, they're still going, not very strong, but they are still going. People are still pulling their unusual high amount of equity out, but what's not happening is those new mortgages. Why? Because people are losing up to $180 of monthly purchasing power a month. If you look at the interest rates, that's the way it's looked, right? You literally went from I can buy a house that's $500,000 to now I'm buying a house that's $285 if I want to keep the same payment. And that's brutal. And that creates uncertainty, right? Home prices. Now this is where it's interesting. Now KWRI is overtly conservative. On who am I to argue with, am I not? Because that yellow line, they view it as the long-term average is the 4% trend line. Statistically, it's actually 4.68%. I don't say it to be nerdy, it's because it is slightly actually higher than what the graph shows. But for planning purposes as business owners, conservative is way better, right? It just is. And so we are 2 years off to about 2.5 years if we had flat on the appreciation to get back onto the 4% line. Is that everyone tracking what I'm saying? Because we are above it, that 4% trend line puts us at 343,000. The median was 395 this year. Because in spite of everything, nationally home values are up and new listing values are up about 13.8%. They're up locally. They continue to rise. And that's a challenge because again, remember the book's called Shift. Buyers still haven't shifted along with it. Your clients haven't. How many of your buyers are still waiting for the great deal? You're like, you and me both. I'm always looking for a great deal. If you find one, give me a call. Right? Yet your sellers are standing over here going, saying what? Well, the last one sold for 9, so mine clearly is 925. And you're like, no, it isn't, buddy. Right? And until there's stability, we're going to continue to fight that. Home prices monthly. What's interesting about the home prices is you can see, in spite of what interest rates do, home prices statistically over time continue to rise. What's the takeaway for a buyer? If it's going to be your primary residence and you're going to be in the house, right, for 5 to 7 years or whatever your turn rate is for your city, it's not hard to figure out, you know, the average amount of time people stay in a property, or if you're buying it as a long-term investment, it's like any other asset. Time of ownership beats timing pretty much every time. I mean, does anybody have a buyer who decided to wait in 2020 and then in 2021 was like, well, I was stupid?
No, they still do waiting.
They're still waiting. Yeah, good luck. Hey, the prices only have to go down 44% for them to break even on that idea to wait, not counting what they got to do to compensate for the interest rate, which, right, you lose 10% of purchasing power for every 1% of interest rate rise. So, you know, as long as prices drop 65%, they will have made a great decision. Right? Kind of hard to explain that to somebody, though, isn't it? Days on market. This is where we start to see some very interesting, and this is where some of that fallacy exists. The challenge we have when tracking days on market is what? We only actually track the homes that are on the market to sell. I can't tell you how long you're going to be there on the market if it doesn't sell. So for every property that's sold in 14 days, or 7 days, there's one that's sold in 28 days, and there's at least one that hasn't sold at all. So the lesson here for sellers is what, from a market standpoint? Good homes go fast. How many of you have a listing or put in an offer on a property in the last 14 days that went multiple offer? What? Impossible. But properly priced homes, properly staged homes, properly presented homes still go quickly, don't they? It's just now, in 2019, how did the conversation sound? Because, and you'll see this interesting stat, if you haven't seen it in the news yet, mark my words, will be in Dallas Morning News within the next 72 hours, that the inventory in Dallas is up 80%. It's still 69% of what it was in 2019. We don't think of it that way. Do you want to know how long a property is going to be on the market in your favorite neighborhood? Go pull the stats from 2019, that's how long it's going to be on the market. And in 2019, did you tell everybody who lists, just go on the market at whatever price you want, and you're going to sell, don't worry about it? Or did you tell them in 2019 on a listing appointment, hey, the best homes in the neighborhood is the ones that are going to sell. Let's make sure we position ourselves that way, right? That's what the market is telling us yet again. Because the days on market overall are not skyrocketing. Historically speaking, to see price drop, and remember, price is not a month-to-month indicator, it's year over year. I think it's safe to say that in any given market, in any given neighborhood, I can get more money in certain months. Is that true? Like I have a better chance of maybe getting a higher dollar value if I get closer to school being out versus listing in January. Right? Seasonality really is a thing. I might struggle a little harder to get that price if I went on, I don't know, in December, 3 days before Christmas. Right? So that's not how we track price. We track price as year over year. What happened last September? What happened last August? Arguably, right now nationally, we're almost 2% off the peak. Right? However, we don't see price drop year over year traditionally until you have at least 7 months supply of inventory. The median is 9 months supply. So when people say, I'm waiting for the prices to drop, well great, we gotta get the inventory up. What did we just talk about inventory? Where does it sit? 2.5 months supply. Arguably, we have to be at 7 months supply to see those prices consistently drop. So, this is where, great, inventory, slightly higher. But when we talk about that, right, I just told you, even nationally a 3.3 months supply of houses, those are national numbers, that's 3.9 months supply in 2019. So understand our inventory is low, but it's not as low as in 2019. As we just said, 9,400 transactions sold last month in the MLS. And that was less than 2021. It was double digit off, less than 100 off of what it was in 2020. And when we go back to 2019, it was more homes sold last month. So this is important because this is how it's showing up in the market, because how we feel about it in the shift, how our clients feel about it is not necessarily how it is. I mean, the question to ask somebody when they tell me I'm waiting, my question is, what are you waiting for? Like legitimately, why are we waiting? They may have real reasons, right? I'm waiting because I'm working at Alliance and there's a very good chance I'm going to get transferred back to Mobile, Alabama next year. Well, okay, maybe this isn't the market for you. But that's not most of our folks. And this is that reflection of inventory on the monthly. And again, remember, these are national numbers. 3.2, September we were actually about 3.3 months supply of houses. Still doesn't even compare to our 2019 pre-pandemic levels. And locally, as I said, we're still below 30, or still above 30%. This is the part that's going to be hard for us to swallow. This is interest rates and historical interest rates from 1972. Even if we go back into the 1990s to 2021, that median rate was 5.97%. So at least on the short term, understand why buyers might wait. And the reason buyers might wait is because they were hit with unprecedented price increases, values continued to go up, at a time when the cost to borrow the money went up. I mean, that's a big deal, because I'm pretty sure if I could get you a Lamborghini at Kia payments, you'd take the Lambo. No offense to Kia, right? Except for in this case, you're paying Lambo prices for the Kia. It's kind of a little upside down. This is the issue that the Fed, one of the main issues that they're going to attack. That's what they're trying to drive down. And when they say we have to get affordability under control, what does that mean? It means they have to stop the price increases from happening. Homes have to stop appreciating at the pace that they were at. Interesting, historical rate 7.81. It's going to be real hard looking at a buyer who's 28 years old and tell them, yeah, you don't get it. I remember when I refied below 6.5%, I thought the banks were morons for giving me money so cheap. You're not going to convince them of that. Because since 1990, 5.97 was the median. And it doesn't change the fact of what it does to their monthly payment. This is where, from an education standpoint, we have to get re-educated and reintroduced to things like 2-1 rate buy downs, 7-year ARMs, 5-year ARMs. I know those can be bad words. They are bad words if that's what I have to do in order to afford my house, right? I can really argue that putting somebody in a 5-year ARM, or especially a 3-year ARM, is a terrible idea if that's the only way I can get them into the house, right? I will tell you, I've done a 7-year ARM. Wait, what? Why? Because the cost of the money was so absolutely blisteringly cheap that at this stage of the game, I could put the money that I borrowed into a CD and make more money, right? So they're not bad products. They just have to have the right application. So for those of you who aren't super familiar or haven't had to do this, right? The market numbers are telling us we have got to be good at those things again. And what's interesting is we have to get real good at this real quick. Like a lot faster than we think. And I'll put it this way. Who's number one in the MLS, RMLF? Can anyone tell me? Who? Open Door. Now, I'm going to ask you as real estate professionals if you think this sales pitch sounds great. I'm going to make an offer on your property. I'm going to show up, tour your property. I'm going to revise my offer by probably about $20,000. You won't pay any of those pesky commissions. I'm going to charge you 5 to 5.5% fees, and you're going to make less money. Does this sound like a good deal to you? I'm sorry, who's number one in MLS? Open Door. Because they had the conversation before you did. It's the reality of it. They went to the consumer and had a conversation before you did. Plenty of institutions, you watch what pops up in the mortgage space, are going to start having conversations of these brilliant products that I can put you into a home cheaper than anyone else can. Whether it's right for them or not is largely irrelevant. I'm not picking on Open Door. They provide a service that the consumer demands. I'm telling you, you've got to get real educated in this. If you go, I don't like ARMs, that's great. I don't particularly like 2-1 rate buy downs, but I better know how to talk about it, and I better be prepared to talk about it on the front end of a conversation, not the back end. Because plenty of agents have tried to talk to people on the back end and they're already under contract on Open Door, and you're like, golly, I don't want to sound bad here, but you understand you gave up a net, you gave up 40 grand. So the reason we go over these numbers on Mondays is because we should be adjusting our training calendars, we should be adjusting our training in our organizations, and we should be adjusting what we're going out to relearn. And most importantly, how do I take that back and service my client with it, right? Look at how insane. So if you want to know why all your buyers, and we're feeling bad about a buyer, and we're like, I don't understand why these people are waiting, and I don't understand why they're so wishy-washy, I want you to take a look where we went from January to today. And as of Tuesday, as of yesterday, we were 7.14. It's horrible. I mean, I've been saying, if you've been on my 130 before, Tanya and I say regularly, if we could just get some stability in the mortgage market, if we could just sit flat, we just be at 6 3/4, right? We just need some level of stability. And remember, the book is called Shift because the hard part isn't, if we just stayed at 7% and that's what it was going to be for the next 50 years, people get figured out, wouldn't they? The book's called Shift because the part that's difficult is we have to shift our attitudes, our actions, and our behaviors, our businesses, our planning, our expenses that we're willing to spend, and now I've got to go to the consumer and I've got to get them to shift too. So if you want to know why it's so difficult, that's why it's so difficult. That graph just, to me, puts it real simple. They're feeling that pain. Family home starts. This is also where it gets interesting. You know, we had looked at to the builders to start trying to catch up the gap and start, because we've been underbuilt for so many years, right? And what has ended up happening is the builders have put up screeching halts. Now, if A builder bought land or a developer bought land over the last 2 years, did they pay high or low? High. They can't go back on that now, can they? So if you're Jerry Jones, if you're H. Ross Perot and you're sitting on that land, I mean, your options at this point are, and boy, Jerry Jones has done it before, for those of you who prosper, they'll sit on that until it's profitable, won't they? So I don't look for new development to come in and save the day. Number one, you're 18 months to 30 months from any new development being done. They bought it at a time when land was at an all-time high. Land speculation has ran rampant, right? And so there's no short-term on relief going to come in for our inventory for new construction. I mean, again, pull the housing starts going and take a look at it. Right? South Lake, for instance, you can actually go on their website, really easy. And you can actually go in there and look, and they have a graph for you. So I'm going to pull some stuff up from my phone. And then we're going to go over a couple of numbers. I said my phone, see if this works. And I'll let you ask questions, but I would encourage, these numbers are useless if they're just numbers bouncing around in our head. The value of this is our ability to translate it into what we do and to take it back to our clients. And those of you who are actually on the 130 with me, you can't laugh because I'm just about as tech savvy in person as I am on the class, or when we do this. So a couple of interesting things that we wanted to talk about. One of the things that we do on that Monday call is we tell people where we get our sources from. We also post a lot of links. So I'll share where some of it is because you want to be able to go out. I want you to join us on the 1:30 call. Tommy wants you there. Now that we've got Dave Eckert joining us, I mean, we want it to be valuable, but I want you to know where we get everything. We pull stuff from Black Knight, Showing Time, Realtor.com, Inman, Fannie, Freddie, Risk Media. We try and consolidate from multiple places. Because when you do that, you can find there's some pretty interesting things out there. And so one of the things that we wanted to, one of the things I want to talk about is, interestingly, because we had interest rates stabilizing that high 6%, and they had sat there for what? We bounced around for about 3 weeks. You know what's crazy is if you go in and pull your showing stats, or you pull showing stats for your county, showings went up over that 3-week period. Significantly up. And what's interesting is now that we've bounced back up and we're sitting above 7%, you're going to watch those showings drop off. Now, why is that relevant? Why do I care about those numbers? How many of you have a listing where the seller's like, what happened to the showings? Right? We've got to be able to pull the data in order to educate the seller because maybe they shouldn't be concerned by the fact that they only have 2 showings a week. Because when we compare that to what's actually happening in the marketplace, that's right in alignment. It feels terrible compared to last year. I mean, you had 2 showings. Let's be honest, you all had 2 showings while it was still coming soon. You just didn't tell anybody. Exactly. So that's why we track those numbers. We already talked about unemployment rates that just came back out at 3.5%. I said 3.8. It's actually even better. And so that's one of those big numbers that they're going to continue to track. We've got to see that get worse before we see it. Black Knight is an interesting one because they do a combination of tracking sales data with the actual mortgage data. So if you ever want to go to a website and start going in it and really start looking for some good graphs, or you want to take some data and turn around and put it into some content posts, that's a great place to do it. What's interesting about them is we saw a 1.05% drop in that pricing. And that was that's like the biggest price drop we've had in years. I mean, literally, arguably in 20 years. And yet, we're still going to end the year at over 12% appreciation, right? So we have to understand, even the weighting concept of, hey, I'll wait this out. You've got to look at what those numbers are going to mean. What's going to happen? Let's just say prices drop by 5%. What did you actually wait for? I mean, what did you wait for? A 5% drop in price? When? When's that drop going to happen? Q1, Q2, Q3 of next year? And what's interest rates going to do between them? So it's again, these are very interesting questions. The big one that I thought was really interesting is, and we talked about it on Monday, was 86% of buyers surveyed in a recent Harris poll said that they would accelerate, this is from last month, they said they would accelerate their purchase to an immediate purchase if the interest rates dropped to 4.5%. Now, when they said that, the interest rates were below 6.5. So go back to what I said earlier, 7.25%, we sit there for a few months. What's gonna happen at 5 3/4? Right? So I'm using that as an example because when you come join us on Mondays, the goal of us is to share information that you can come back and apply it, not just to your personal business, but to your buyers. Because again, if my brother was buying, came and said, hey, I'm buying a house in Richardson, I'm gonna be there for 5 to 7 years, you think I should wait this out? My answer is real clear. I would much rather refi 5.5 than, or 5 3/4 than join the horde. Because most of us walked buyers into the horde last year and how'd that turn out for them? Right? 40K over asking on a good day. So that's how we want to use that data, and that's why we want to share this. Anybody have any questions? I wasn't tracking time, and I don't want to keep you guys too late. Does anybody have any questions?
Questions or even ahas?
Come on.
Yes, ma'am.
I have a question on, we're talking to potential sellers. They still want to, and they realize they're in the industry, they understand what's going on. They still want to list high and think they're going to get that sales price. Do you agree if there's lack of inventory, they could probably get a higher price still?
It is possible, depending on the neighborhood and the uniqueness of the property, right? But sellers don't hate price reductions as much as they hate surprises. Does that make sense? Right? The challenge comes, and we all have had it, where they're like, you know, it's going to be $1,025,000. You're like, nothing's ever sold over $950,000. You're like, well, if you want to go for it, let's go for it. And then 2 weeks later, you're like, I told you you were going to get it. And they're like, that's not really what you told me. You told me, let's go for it. So I think it comes down to that skill set conversation, right? And creating an expectation. You'll have to make that call. So I got good news and I got bad news. I got great news for Southlake. You guys are well positioned by your median home price. When you make a sale, it's a beautiful thing. Here's your bad news. When you don't make a sale, you're in a saturated, higher end, more luxury market where the expectation is a higher cost on marketing. And overpriced listings very rapidly in a rising inventory environment become a liability and not an asset. True?
Very true.
And then that becomes a big tax on your business very, very quickly. I mean, it wouldn't take long to be carrying a dozen listings that you're like, these are never going to sell in the market we're in. Right? So I think it's a great question, but I think it's going to be a delicate balance walking forward. And then you're going to have to make that call on your own individual businesses. Do I have the margin to do that? Do I have the room to do that? And that's a tough thing to tell somebody is not to take a listing. Sometimes it's better to be the second agent. That's just what happens in shift. Yeah, and you'll know you're out of the shift because the sellers will no longer have those thoughts because they will have realized what's happening in the market.
That's good.
Any other questions?
Or ahas.
I think a lot of people also aren't selling because if they refi down at 2.5%.
Sure, 85% of mortgage holders hold at better interest rates than, it was like 6.3. Now my question was always like, where's the other like 15% of the people? Like where in the heck were they for the last 2 years? But a lot of them had non-qualifying mortgages and things like that, right? So it wasn't so easy for them to refi. But yeah, it's going to be, so I would anticipate in your business, I mean, think about this. How many of you would be eager to give up your 2.75 so that you can get a media room? Right? Or get a third car garage. That's going to be a big difference in what our market is. Yeah, people will do that. Well, and think about this. Your equity is the highest it's ever been. I can tap that into that equity, and yes, it'll cost me more, but I don't have to pay that off on the 30 years or 15 years. I can pay that off faster. Those are so this is all just numbers. It's how do we apply the numbers in the business, right? You know, you have a buyer who buys a property and you're thinking like, well, this is as given as a sale in the next 4 years, I'll be reselling that house. Maybe not. Yes, sir.
There should be lots of opportunities because of the equity that's out there. There will be people that have to sell. And, you know, you need to have in your plan something like Open Door as an option coming in, because there will be people that want to sell like that. I bought one last month, and the guy just, after one contract fell through, whatever, you know, he's ready to take something and he's still making money, but he's just not making near what he could have if he'd done the things he needed to do.
I agree that, so we just came out of a speed-based market. What did it take to be successful last year? Answer your phone faster than the next person, because the buyer's like standing in front of the house and they're gonna call somebody else, like literally. And hurry, you know, I told the people, hey, listen, I can get my photographer out there on Friday and we'll get you on the market on Monday. Dustin went on the same appointment and said, how about I just take 3 cell phone pictures and I put it on today and we have to get an offer tomorrow? Who was getting that listing? Now, who was gonna do a better job? In theory, right? So is that the market today? So we're in a skills-based market. So sort of your point, you have to show up in a skills-based market with options and consultation. And I can do A, B, C, D, E, F, and G, whatever works for you, we have it. Because if you don't, well then, I'll go back and just use the fast guy.
Right, and Kevin, it goes back to what we were talking about too. If you have a pricing challenge, number one, use your iFinder. Because your iFinder is going to bring in offers that are going to actually set a low benchmark for where you should price. Like, we just had Russ and I were just talking about this. He ran it through iFinder, got terrible offers back. And he's like, man, these offers were terrible. I'm like, that just set up your listing conversation right there. So absolutely the client's going to list with him now because the cash offers came in. But the hook to get the appointment was, hey, I can bring you multiple cash offers. I'm sure you're probably considering just taking a cash offer and being done. I can bring you multiples and we can sit down and talk about it, and then you turned into a listing conversation, right? Like, that's the whole thing, is to use it as the hook. So remember, that's in your back pocket, right? Because that's where Open Door's winning. They're beating us to the conversation. So our conversation has to be, you want an easy cash offer? Well, then I'm your person, because it's not one, it's multiple.
And the thing with Open Door is, understand, their purchase, they purchase less, single digits. It's less than 10%. Of the inquiries they receive is what they actually purchase, right? So understand, for all those Open Door signs and ownership, that's less than probably 94% of them, so that's less than 6%, didn't buy with them or didn't sell to them.
So how do we find those houses if they never went to the market?
You don't. They turn around and give them to their own, try and give them to their own brokers if they don't sell it, because it's real hard. It's very difficult to show up to somebody. It's why the iFinder is unique, because it's not you making the offer, right? Because it's real hard to show up and you're you know, it's real hard to show up and be like, hey, I'll give you an offer for $360. And they're like, yeah, no. And you're like, okay, well, let me go sell it for $425. And they're like, yeah, no to that too. Like, you just offered me $360. So it's harder for someone to bridge that. So that's why I don't pick them up a lot.
So you guys, there's a couple things I want to make sure you take away from this conversation. First off, put it this way, if you had to compete against Kevin for a listing, how do you feel about that? Okay, but why? Why? He knows his numbers specifically. And this is the thing I want you to remember. There are 2 types of agents. There's a fiduciary and there's a functionary agent. If you do not know and can have a level of conversation like this, then you're a functionary agent. A functionary agent is what Redfin hires.
It's what the industry wants you to be.
And it's what the industry believes your value is.
Well, let me rephrase that. It's what the tech, it's what prop tech wants you to be.
Correct. That's what Open Door actually wants. Open Door wants to hire agents, but they want to hire function agents, not fiduciaries. But the fiduciary agents are the ones who win.
It's also, the functionary is your lowest dollar value, right? I know we're here for market, but the lowest dollar value you offer a consumer is lovely wood floors and natural light. Bathrooms are down the hall. That's the lowest dollar value as an agent we offer. I mean, think about that. I mean, there are services that'll host open houses for $12 an hour. And you know what they do? Lovely wood floors and lots of natural light. So that tells you what the dollar value is on that. You are paid as an agent in direct proportion to the problems you solve. Well, here's the good news. There's a lot of problems right now. that some of them are difficult to solve. That's why I want you to be the smartest agents in the room.
Well, that's why skill starts, in order to be skill-based, it starts with knowledge. So you have to know more so you can then do more. And that's where the skill shows up. Make sense?
We also cover a lot of fun stuff on the Monday call. Like, did you know the guy who started and owns Fizbo.com, ForceUpWagner.com, just listed and sold his house at full 6% with an agent? So we do bring those to you as well, because some of those are a lot of fun. And we do try and stay on top of those industry things and a lot of what we're seeing out in the brokerage world. Today I just wanted to try and cover some of those big numbers because I didn't know the level of the room. I mean, I knew that you're Southlake, you're with Dustin. Well, mostly you're with Kathy, so I know you're smart. I know you're smart. Let's keep Dustin's head to get you bigger. But I wanted to go over those bigger numbers because the national numbers, I know we're hyper-local, but the national numbers matter because your client doesn't see the local numbers. What they hear is national numbers, or what she hears is national numbers. And what sells? If it bleeds, it leads. Yep. Did you know foreclosures are up over 400%? In Collin County, we went from 8, actually went from 6 to, at one point, went to 22. Oh my Lord. Pull the comparison of distressed sale properties, going back 2019, 2018, 2017. Right? The numbers, you can make it sound however you want, unfortunately.
Well, and that's the whole thing. How do we overcome sensationalism is you have to speak to it, right? You have to quantify what it actually means. So, anyway, did you guys learn something today? Yes. Yeah? Give Kevin a hand for me, will you? Awesome. Okay, so last check. We're going to do some early bird drawings, but I think we need, some of you did not scan the QR code to get checked in that you're in training to get $30 off your office bill. So if you didn't, make sure that you do that.
Yeah, only about 57 people scanned in. We have over 90 here. So
yeah.
Scan. $30 off. Okay, early birds. We've got Holly Sample.
Holly! Come on down.
Yeah. We have Casey Rawls.
Casey!
We have Miguel Ortiz.
Manny!
Sarah Smith.
Sarah!
Yes, there you go. Christine Coronado.
Steve!
Woo! And John Corby.
All right, got you straight.
There you go. Awesome. All right, guys, we've got lunch in the back. Remember, from all my sons, thank you. Have a wonderful day.
Bye, guys.